From its simple start as trying to beat a given seed as fast as possible, to one of the most optimized categories in the game as we know it today. Throughout different versions, players used various different game mechanics and strategies to beat the game as fast as possible. The Nether update brought many new opportunities and made speedruns in this category even more luck-based than ever before. And that got me wondering just how much more insane could these speedruns become in the future. Join me today in this video where we'll do a little thought experiment just to predict how these speedruns may evolve in the future. The current speedruns are divided into two main categories, set seed and random seed. These two are then divided into two subcategories depending on whether the player used exploits in the game or not. And all of those categories are then divided into three different subcategories, and that is just depending on the version that this run was done in. But today we'll focus on the 1.16 runs, and the reason for that is mainly the new opportunities that this version brings to the table, especially the piglin bartering and, even if some players consider them to be useless, ruined portals. As with all great things comes also a big problem. Rarer nether fortresses and getting unlucky with the RNG, especially bartering with piglins, can make the runs unmiserable. But today we can forget about bad RNG. With more players than ever grinding runs, it's just a matter of time before someone gets the perfect RNG and a great seed to run. Today in this video let's predict how perfect could an RSG run get. And of course we'll not be expecting something like our player randomly spawning in a world with an already activated portal. First of all, we need to describe our perfect seed. A perfect world could be really different from one player to another, but in general, everything that a player needs to successfully start the run must be there available to obtain as soon as possible. Also, something like small islands without any trees are usually a really bad idea. In the current version of the game there are 67 different biomes, and most of them are just variants of the basic biome types, so we can now talk of roughly 14 different types. Even though there are so many different biomes, the game will search for the closest one to 00 that is somewhat acceptable and set the world spawn point there. One of the most important structures to any speedrun is of course the village. It provides the player with enough bread to last him all the way to the dragon fight, enough iron to get him to the nether, as well as villagers to trade for all the arrows that the player needs. Since this is a really crucial part of any speedrun, we need this structure as close to spawn as possible. There are only 5 different biomes where villages can naturally spawn, and out of those ones, usually only desert, plains and savanna villages provide you with hay bales, which are a really great and fast way of getting food for the run. Now that we know these facts about villages, we are left with a very small number of biomes that would be ideal. And in those 3 biomes we can also find lava pools, as well as ruined portals, which can both serve as a way to enter the nether dimension. Ruined portals themselves are often partly constructed out of crying obsidian, and without any proper diamond tools they are not really repairable. Sometimes you will see ruined portals only containing obsidian blocks, and those ones can be easily repaired if there is some lava nearby. And there is even a smaller chance that the portal will be the smallest size possible, while containing 8 blocks of obsidian already in the place, and the remaining 2 blocks will be in the loot chest. Oh, what? No way! Look at this, look at this. And those portals can be a really fast way to enter the nether dimension. The ruined portals also have a chance of having a loot chest. The loot chest on the other side is way more interesting. If the player gets lucky enough, he can find equipment to light up the portal, as well as gold to trade with the piglins, which will be essential in the future of the run. If the player is near the desert biome, there is always a chance that he'll find a desert temple, and these structures provide much more diverse and better loot than ruined portals, and that is the exact reason they are so wanted. Now that we know the basics of what we want, let's finally start the quest for an almost perfect speedrun. With all respect to all speedrunners, you all did great. The point of today's video is just to see if it can be pushed any further in the future. The seeds used in this video will be parts of a real Minecraft world, so we can exactly see what we can get from a world. Imagine this, you click on the Create New World button and join into a brand new world. You spawn somewhere where one of those free biomes are literally everywhere. Right at spawn you have a tree as well as a village, a gravel patch and some exposed stone. From this point the player sees the potential in this seed and starts the typical approach. Punching down trees, finding the first stone, getting the basic tools, getting the gravel for the flint, and since the RNG isn't a big problem for our imaginary guy, he could get it done in roughly 1 minute and 30 seconds. The next step would be to check out the desert temple. If done quickly without spending too much time, that would take roughly 60 seconds. From the temple we are expecting to get at least 3 string for a bow, some gold ingots for piglin bartering, and other loot such as diamonds, emeralds and iron are always welcome and would make the run much easier and faster later. After the desert temple, our guy explores the village, grabs some hay blocks, trades them to a farmer, crafts a smithing table and buys some arrows. He also crafts a bow, kills the iron golem and of course he gets 5 iron, crafts flint and steel, bucket and a shield. He also makes sure to grab enough beds from the village. And if the villagers cooperate with the player, this process would take 1 minute and 50 seconds or even less. While exploring, he's also looking at the surroundings and spots a lava lake. The key success to seeds like this is the close proximity of the structures which would be needed for fast runs. Our lava lake is luckily close enough and our player manages to run to it and build a portal under 1 minute and 10 seconds. The Nether is where it gets interesting. While Nether fortresses are now much rarer in the newer version of the game, our lucky player has to spawn near one or his run would not break the record. An ideal Nether entry would be similar to Nice Twice's run, where the portal spawned him right next to a spawner. While our imaginary player climbs to the spawner, he also sees some piglins approaching. He throws his gold obtained from the pyramid onto the ground for piglins to barter with it. Then he goes to the blaze spawner. Once he has enough blaze rods, he makes his way back to the portal. He also picks up the ender pearls dropped by the piglins and goes back to the portal. With great RNG he could get it done in roughly 3 minutes and 30 seconds or even less. Now let's do a timeline check. Our player now has all the essentials to beat the dragon and the timer shows him the time of 9 minutes. And that is quite good pace so far, and if you think that this is too optimistic, well, then I can tell you that most of the records that are being held at the moment leave the Nether a few minutes later than this time. But our imaginary player has a great seed and RNG on his side, and that is the reason for the reduced time. Strongholds, one of the rarest structures in the game, only surpassed by fossils and woodland mansions by rarity. There are 128 different and unique strongholds in every seed. They will spawn in so-called rings around 0-0, and since our player has to be able to finish the game as fast as possible, we will focus on the first ring. The first ring will always have 3 strongholds almost evenly spaced out inside of that ring. If we want our stronghold to be an ideal one, it must spawn towards the inner side of the first ring, saving us quite some time when traveling. Now we also have to talk about world spawn point. The world spawn point is determined at the stages of generating a new world, and the algorithm responsible for determining the spawn starts at 0-0 and then gradually moves away from 0-0 to find a suitable biome to spawn the player in. While it can still happen for a player to spawn at 0-0, that's usually not the case, and spawns 100, 200 or even 300 blocks away from 0-0 aren't that rare. And spawning away from the 0-0 has another advantage. If the world spawn gets you even closer to the closest stronghold, that will save additional time. While according to my testing, the closest stronghold on average will be roughly 1750 blocks away. It is not impossible to get ones that are even closer. While trying out random seeds, I got the best one to be roughly 1300 blocks away. Our perfect stronghold should be also located in the deep ocean. And the reason for that is the much easier location of the portal room itself. Now that we know our perfect stronghold is in the water located only 1300 blocks away, let's go to it. The best case scenario would be to have a big ocean leading to the stronghold. In that case, he could get a boat and get there in roughly 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And if the stronghold is submerged and all the rooms are visible from above, there is a high chance of spotting the right one in the first try, meaning our player could directly mine into the portal room without spending too much time searching for it. Our player manages to travel to the stronghold under 3 minutes and then manages to find the portal room and light it up in under a minute. We have finally arrived to the end. Now we face two different strategies, the first one being more traditional way, destroying the ender crystals and then destroying the ender dragon with bow, sword or axe and bats. This tactic is way less riskier than the other one, but it's quite slow, at a traditional battle lasting anywhere from 3 to 4 minutes at best. With this first strategy, the player could finish his run in 16 to 17 minutes. But wait, there is also another way. If the player collects enough bats from the village, he doesn't really need to destroy the crystals, and that would save him a lot of time. This method is called one cycle kill, and the method itself is based on a game mechanic that when a bat is clicked in the end, it will explode and damage the dragon. And there are many videos explaining on how this strategy works properly. And the reason why many do not use this strategy is because of the precise timings needed to perform this method. And this method can absolutely destroy the dragon in under 1 minute and 30 seconds or even less, giving us a final time of 14 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's think about the results again. Minecraft beaten under 15 minutes? Well, half a year ago, the best times we had were in the range of 25 minutes, and no one at the time thought that this could be beaten under 20 minutes. While filming this video, a new record was set on the 1.16 by Free Sizzler, with the time of 1942, and the fact that these runs are constantly getting improved means that maybe, just maybe, one day we might see a run closer to 15 minutes than 20 minutes. Thank you for watching.